Superman has been getting all the attention, so I think it's time to shift focus over to my personal favorite superhero, Batman. The Brave and the Bold was announced 2 years ago, with Andy Muschietti attached to direct. But other than that, we have not gotten much updates about it. The closest to news we have received is that there is a writer, but James Gunn said to avoid putting pressure on them, the writer has not been announced. While this is quite frustrating, it at least allows us to brainstorm on who should be the main antagonist for the Caped Crusader. So, here's my opinion on the different villains who could take a leading role in the movie. First off, let's start with an extremely popular choice, Mr. Freeze. I'm gonna give this dude a kick here. Okay, listen. Growing up, he was in Batman the Animated Series. He had his own animated film, Sub-Zero. Very good villain, okay? I think he'd fit in this fantastical universe a lot more than he'd fit into the Matt Reeves grounded realm. Only reason he's not in S tier is that we have to remember this movie is primarily inspired by Batman and Son, the comic book run where Damian Wayne, Batman's son, is introduced. And I don't really know how Mr. Freeze would play into that theme throughout the film. Instead, while it would be cool to have him, it would almost feel like the protagonist and the antagonist have no real connection between the two. He's just there to cause problems for Batman. Now, while that is a big issue, overall, like the rest, he would completely fit. I think we deserve a good live-action Mr. Freeze. Sorry, Arnie. Mr. Freeze overall, I think, is a really cool villain. People would be hyped to see him. Just my only complaint is I don't think he'd fit the overall vibe of the movie. He would be pretty cool though. Next up, we have Clayface, who I'm actually going to give him C tier. Now, Clayface has been in Creature Commando, he's getting his own movie next year, and I feel like if he was in Brave and the Bold, that'd be a little bit of Clayface overload. And additionally, I'm sorry to all the big Clayface fans out there, trust me, I want him in a Batman movie too, but as a side villain, I don't think he's got that sauce to carry on as a main antagonist. And some of y'all may be like, wait, you're glad he's getting his own movie, so you think he can hold his own movie but not be a villain? And yeah, I do. I think that his own movie would work well for him. However, I don't think he could be able to really take on an entire Batman movie and really lead on with it, with him as the driving force against which Batman has to fight, if you know what I mean. Clayface is a great character, just like Mr. Freeze, he doesn't connect really at all with Damian and Batman. Honestly, a lot of people don't even really know him, which, you know, I'm not against bringing in smaller characters, but this is the first Batman movie in this universe, and you have to make it sure why we need two Batmans running around, because if this movie, it messes up in any way, if the antagonist isn't good, then people will be like, oh, they should have just incorporated the Matt Reeves universe, and we can't have that. So I'm sorry, Clayface, would work great as a side villain that maybe Nightwing has to get or something, but overall, I don't think he can carry on the entire film. Okay, number 3, just gotta get this guy out of the way, the Joker. D tier. I know Joker's easily Batman's most popular villain. He's one of my favorite villains of all time. Listen, Matt Reeves has the Joker in a credit scene of his movie. Joker was in The Dark Knight. Joker has his own movie franchise. I don't think we need more Joker. We need other Batman villains to come. In one of my older videos, I said we do need Joker in this universe, and I still agree. He does not need to be in the first movie, especially not a leading character. A cameo, in my opinion, would be generous for him. But having him be the entire villain, no, absolutely not. And plus, Joker is a villain who really challenges just Batman and not really the Bat family. And this universe, we're really focusing on the Bat family, not just Bruce Wayne. So I don't think Joker would be a smart decision. Alright, number 4, Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, or however the heck you want to say it. I really don't know. It depends on where you're coming from. But I'm going to give him A tier. I think that even though he was recently in Batman Begins, which is why he's not straight in S, he is a good character, and the one that we saw in Batman Begins was a lot more grounded and real. The one we could have in this movie could be a lot more fantastical and almost cartoonish, like not in a way that takes away from the realism of the film. but in a way that elevates the character and brings out the comic book nature in it. I think that Ray connects super well to Damian, especially. That's one strength he has, and additionally, that would also incorporate other characters like Talia al Ghul and the League of Assassins. And overall, even though it may seem a little similar to Batman Begins, I think it would fit very well as the start for the universe. Carrying right on along, we're about halfway there with Man-Bat, and I'm going to give him C tier. I think Man-Bat, I would love for him to be in one of the movies. Man-Bat is such a cool, fantastical villain that hasn't been created yet. However, similar to Clayface, Man-Bat would definitely not be able to carry his own film. He doesn't relate to Damian really at all. Man-Bat's whole story is that I'm pretty sure he was like a doctor of some kind and he injects himself. I don't know, I probably need to go back and read up on him. But he's a really good side villain. Like a villain maybe Batman has to take down like in the opening scene or something. He just would not work for the main antagonist. I mean, he's literally some like random creature thing, you know? Like Killer Croc would be a better villain than Man-Bat for the main film. And no hate towards Man-Bat, I love Man-Bat. It's just some villains can't carry an entire Batman film, especially one with Damian Wayne, and he's one of them. Alright, number 6, Poison Ivy, who I'm gonna put in B tier, so just above Man-Bat. And this is because and the reason she's not an A or S is because she does not relate to Damian Wayne at all, so that wouldn't make any sense. But she is higher than Man-Bat and Clayface because she is more feasible to hold a film on her own, because she's more of a built-out Batman villain. She's more recognizable than someone like Calendar Man, who actually would make a pretty cool villain. But I'm getting off topic. She could be cool. Only thing is that she doesn't relate to Damian at all, which I know I've been saying that a lot throughout this video, but it is a very important point to bring up, because, I mean, that's what James Gunn wants to do, sadly, so we really need a villain who can focus on that aspect. Which actually leads us into our next choice, Deathstroke. S tier. So, I think Deathstroke could be such a great villain, because A, we haven't really had him in live action. I mean, we had him in the Titans show, I think. I never watched it, so I wouldn't know. But I do know he was in Zack Snyder's Justice League at the cameo, but that doesn't really count as an appearance. And he is such a cool villain. I know he's primarily Teen Titans, but he could definitely be in the DCU, like Brave and the Bold, just for this once. Because, first off, his combat is electric to watch. Him and Batman going at each other, especially with their paths. They could really build that out. And he relates to Damian Wayne, similar to how Ra's al Ghul relates to him. So maybe he's like an assassin sent, you know? Overall, I think he'd be a great villain. Especially considering he wouldn't take focus away from the Batman and Damian dynamic, but he'd rather add on to it. Alright, number 8, Red Hood. I'm gonna give this one B tier. I think Red Hood definitely needs to eventually be in this universe. They definitely need to adapt that, probably get him and Joker in there. Only thing about him is that I think it's a little too soon. I think having Red Hood and Jason Todd in this would take away so much from the Damian and Batman relationship, because instead of focusing on that, we'd want to focus on, you know, Jason Todd and Batman. So that's the main thing holding him back. But of course, I definitely think Red Hood could hold his own film. He could hold 2 films if he really wanted to. Him and Joker. Just, this is not his movie to do it in. In a sequel, or maybe the 3rd movie, yes. Not the first one. Not the first one. Alright, number 9. The Court of Owls. I'm gonna put this one in C tier. And I know people are like, what? And this is because I think the Court of Owls should be the villain for the Batman Part 2 or Part 3. I think that they just work so much better in that universe. And the only reason they're not D tier is because A, they're pretty cool, and B, they actually kind of connect with Damian. However, I don't think this Batman needs to focus on the underworld of Gotham. Leave that to Matt Reeves. I want this Batman to focus on the villains, where they come from, what they're doing. More, you know, Tim Burton style. Not Matt Reeves' idea of the gang bosses and stuff. The Court of Owls is great villains. However, I don't think they'd fit this film. They'd fit another film, not this one. Okay, final one for today is number 10, The Scarecrow. I'm going to give him A tier. I think Scarecrow, while he was in Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, small roles in the second two, he could be done so much differently in a more fantastical, I've been using that word a lot, but it's true, way, you know, give him the hat, give him some real fear gas, and fear always brings out certain aspects of character, which could really show Damian and Batman, and have them connect to each other. However, I mean, he's not an S tier. A is being very generous. I'm just saying that because I really love Scarecrow. I think he's a great Batman villain. It just can't be S tier because he doesn't necessarily fit the film. Anyways, guys, I hope you've enjoyed. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, because I'll be sure to respond. And I will see you all in the next one.